everyone, my name is Miranda, and today I will be reviewing the book Wicked by Jennifer Armentrout, which is a book that I was really excited for, but that just quickly plunged into a big, dark, black hole of disappointment. And don't worry if you haven't read the book, because this review is going to be 100% spoiler-free. If you do decide you want to read it afterwards, I will not ruin anything for you, even though all the twists are really pretty easy to spot. First of all, what you need to know is that our main character is named Ivy, and she is a sassy, sarcastic, short, redhead who's not Clary Frey. She's not. She is part of an elite, secretive group that is not Shadowhunters. Instead of demons like it is with Shadowhunters, this is Fae, so it's not like City of Bones, right? Now, Ivy, I had multiple problems with throughout the book. First of all, and this isn't really her own fault, but I usually love Jennifer Armentrout's books because I feel like all her characters and all her stories are so different. But Ivy was just a carbon copy of literally every single other sci-fi and paranormal character that Jennifer Armentrout has written. Like I said, she was so sarcastic, so kind of like witty, and didn't take anyone's bullshit and just kind of gave it back to them. And who does that remind you of? Let's see, Katie from Obsidian, Layla from White Hot Kiss, and Alex from her Half-Blood series. That's exactly who Ivy was in reading it. I just felt like I was reading another one of them placed in a different setting, so that really bugged me. And then the thing with Ivy, oh dear Ivy. I've said this many times before that I understand when a character is kind of obsessed with boys or notes another character's attractiveness. I get that, because in real life you see someone, they're hot, you're like, oh, they're pretty hot, and you know, it just kind of clicks in your mind and you would think about it. However, there are moments when attractiveness should not be that important, and Ivy had one of those moments in the beginning of the book. She had gotten into this fight with a Fae, and she pulled some badass moves, kicking, sprinting, punching things, kind of Black Widow stuff, but the Fae gets the upper hand, pulls out a gun, and shoots her. So, she's got a bullet wound. She's bleeding. Basically trying to hold her guts in so she can get back to the headquarters of the mysterious society that sent her out to fight the Fae. So she gets there. She sees her mentor, kind of leader guy. She sees this other guy. He looks pretty attractive, and she mentions this a bunch of times. Let me just give you a sample quote that really got me so frustrated with Ivy right now. And here we go, and I quote, "I gestured at my stomach with my bloodstained hand. Obviously I've been shot, and it was a Fae that didn't need any glamour." "What?" Green Eyes asked sharply, and I looked at him. His face started to get a little fuzzy around the edges, but that didn't detract from his attractiveness. You're bleeding out right now, woman! Can we not focus on how hot the guy is and maybe, oh my gosh, I might die right now? Maybe I should do something other than try and hold my guts in? Right away, I knew Ivy and I were gonna have some serious problems with each other because, oh my gosh, girl, you're bleeding, for goodness sakes! You are losing blood. That is why he's getting fuzzy, because you are losing consciousness and going into the great beyond. Maybe focus on that. Maybe like for a second, get you all stitched up, get you some pain medicine, and then you can talk about how hot he is. Just a suggestion. So obviously there's going to be problems with the book if you don't like a main character. I've rarely found that you actually like a book if you don't like the main character, because the main character is the one you're seeing all the thoughts and everything through. And like I said, it's not that I disliked Ivy, it was just I had read her so many times before in Jennifer Armentrout's books that I was kind of just over it. Like, I knew everything she was gonna say, I knew how she would act because I had read it before in Katie and Layla and Alex. Basically the whole point of this book though is that there is some mysterious kind of mafia Fae going on who's different from the regular Fae because they don't need glamour to look different, so even the people that are hunting them can't always tell who's Fae and who's not, except for they have pointy ears and silver eyes, which I think they described it as Orlando Bloom's character from Lord of the Rings, which doesn't surprise me because Jennifer Armentrout loves Orlando Bloom, so that's how you want to picture him, basically. Something off about him, but it's not so glaringly obvious that everybody can tell that this guy is up to something shifty. It just so happens that as all this murderous, treacherous, weird stuff is going on, this new guy, Green Eyes, who you met before, when his attractiveness outweighed living or dying in Ivy's case, he is named Ren. And, of course, he's attractive, as we knew. Sometimes he sounds British, but he's from Colorado. Like, the way he talks, it sounds like British mannerisms. Like, I read it in a British accent, but then he's like, oh yeah, I'm from Colorado. And so that kind of messed with my mind, but I mean, I just went with it. Like, whatever, dude. Maybe you somehow happen to pick up a Colorado-nese British accent somehow. So Ren, basically, all you need to know about him is typical boy love interest fashion. He's really hot. He kind of wants to protect Ivy and won't let her out of his sight, and he's keeping a secret from her at the same time. So we got the trifecta of hot boy love interest in this book, all wrapped up in one neat little character. And Ivy, we learned about 4 years ago, lost her boyfriend and her parents in one horrific night. She blames herself because it was kind of her fault that the Fae got to them and ripped them to tiny, tiny shreds. So she's really reluctant to start anything up with anyone. She just wants to focus on taking down the Fae. And now this new threat has come. But Ren is like, no, don't be stupid, don't be reckless, you're gonna get your ass whooped because we don't know what we're dealing with here. And she's like, excuse me, I can kick as much butt as anyone. And he's like, yeah, I know you can, but there's a difference between butt kicking and surveillance. We're gonna find out what we're walking into before we go in and kick their butts. So as much as she didn't want to like him, she was kind of always pulled towards him, you know, in typical fashion. He's, like I said, hiding a secret, which I won't say because I don't want to spoil it, but I'm telling you right now, you can find out the secret in like 0.5 seconds. As soon as he says it, you realize what's gonna happen, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be just so annoying. Like reading the rest of the book, getting to the point where the rest of the characters figure out what you've already figured out is so flippin' annoying, which that doesn't normally happen with Jennifer Armentrout books. And I don't know if it's me or if something's different with her writing, but basically her last few books have just not been knocking it out of the park for me. And I don't know. Normally she has such good twists that you don't see coming, and these are good twists, I will admit that, in the story, but you see them coming, and that kind of takes away from the shock value of them. I did really like the end scene when we kind of find out the big secret, and we have just this moment of Ivy by herself realizing what this means, how it's going to impact her, how it's going to impact her and Ren and everyone. And I just really like how it was written, because the way I could picture it was basically like Jennifer Lawrence at the end of Catching Fire, when she just starts like hyperventilating after Gale tells her that there is no District 12 and she just like can't believe it. I feel like it was a mix of that and then Skye from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after she found out Ward was Hydra, when she just kind of had like that like she couldn't believe it look on her face. So that I felt like was a really, really well written scene, because I could see it acted out in a movie, and I love when I can read scenes like that. That was probably my favorite part of the whole book, was the end, and it makes me want to read the next book just because when the end is so great, you're interested in reading the next book just to see what happens. But my favorite character in all of this, and probably the only reason I will read the rest of the series, is Tink. Now Tink is, I don't even know exactly, like part fairy, but he's super, super tiny, and he's kind of like her little housemate. He is so funny, so sarcastic. And find out at the end that he's been keeping this big secret from everyone, and now there's more to Tink than we originally knew, but he's just so funny, and just everything he says have you like on the floor laughing. Overall, this book, like I said, was just a major, major disappointment for me. I would probably give it 2 out of 5 stars. And if you were planning on reading it because you love Jennifer Armentrout, I mean, it's personal choice if you want to read it or not, because I love Jennifer Armentrout too, and I hate this book. I would say if you're looking for sci-fi, just reread Obsidian. And if you're looking for a nice romance, just read Wait for Me or Be With Me Again. If you're looking for both, again, just read Obsidian, because it has a nice romance. It's got the sci-fi, paranormal stuff. Like I said, this book is basically just Alex and Katie's story retold in a different way and made more adult, because, you know, sex is kind of more prominent and the physical stuff of relationships is kind of more prominent. I mean, Katie, oh wait, Layla, no, Alex, oh, Ivy, she just was such a carbon copy of every single person that it just drove me flippin' insane. It was a disappointment. That's all I can say. And the other thing I forgot. Okay, so the book is called Wicked. We all get that, right? I mean, it's the title of the book. We get that. Do you know how many freaking times they say Wicked in this book? Like, it was to the point where I'm like, I get it. The book is called Wicked. There's a significance to Wicked. I get it. We don't have to say it every single 5 pages. Oh my gosh, it was driving me insane. If you have read the book, please feel free to leave your thoughts, comments, and reactions down to it below. Ooh, that was a nice thumbs up if you like this video and would like to see more. Subscribe down below to be told when I make more videos. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!